This week's episode of Fireside is brought to you by Legends of Belize and Wonders Oddities Expo.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to Fireside Paranormal Podcast. My name is Jordan Cline. As always, I got a fun show planned out today. My guest today is Kathryn Olvera. She is the blogger for Living Dead Laptop. Kathryn blogs about paranormal stuff in the movie industry and its parallels to like the real life paranormal stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get to her, just a few announcements.
Legends of Belize is a series about mythical creatures that dwell in the jungles and waters of Belize. The Belizean legends are captured, documented, and preserved like never before in a comprehensive art series and books with fully colored and detailed images of fine art by artists, authors, and award-winning animators Dismas and Grissi G. Discover the supernatural creatures that await deep in the jungles, such as the mysterious dwarf called Tata Duende with backwards feet known to rip the thumbs off of trespassers, or the beautiful shape-shifting woman known to locals as the Ishtabai, who seduces drunks to never be seen again. These creatures and many more can be found in the Legends of Belize books. Learn about the cryptozoological, paranormal, and unexplained creatures that haunt Belize. Be fascinated. Be terrified. Belize. Legend of Belize books are available in print and ebook. Buy your copy from your favorite online bookstores such as Amazon, KDP, Apple Books, and many more. Also be sure to visit legendsofbelize.com.
I also want to remind everybody to check out American Paranormal Magazine, their January-February issue for West Virginia. I'm on the cover, so make sure you go and get it. Go to paranormalzine.com. I'm really flattered that they put me on there, so I'm going to keep talking about it because I think it's pretty awesome. I also want to thank you guys. I know the show is usually out on Mondays. It's been a little delayed the past few weeks. I did start EMT classes. I'm a volunteer fireman, so it was a big deal for me to do everything I can to help the department out. So I am taking EMT classes in the evenings and trying to schedule everything, it being winter, weather's crazy, power outages, and then classes on top of everything else I'm doing. I appreciate your patience. It means the world to me. And don't worry, because it doesn't last that long. Okay, so we'll get through it together. So let's get into this week's featured story. This week it comes in from Sadie.
My name is Sadie Armstead, and I'm from Huntington, West Virginia.
Nice.
So one of the first places that we did get to investigate, we went to Dr. Grimes' office. It's a dental office in Huntington. We were one of the last groups to actually get to go. I think he hasn't done it in a long time now. One of the biggest pieces of evidence that we got was a ghost doorbell.
A doorbell?
A doorbell, clear like doorbell. We've got pool balls moving. Literally, we had him in a triangle. The top one come around and went right down to the bottom of the triangle perfectly. And then my ex-husband actually got to see Davinia. We were packing up, and he comes downstairs, white as a ghost. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what did you break? Because he had all these he got them for estate sales and just decoration stuff. What did you break? He goes, I just saw her. What? And we all went upstairs, and he said she was in this great big gown. He said, but she was see-through. She was there, but she was completely see-through.
Oh, wow.
And it was the craziest thing. We got orbs. My dad, there's a big, orbs are so hard.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I try not to pay that much attention, but this one was just insane because he was in what he calls the war room, where he has all these Civil War guns and different things.
Okay.
And he turned around, and this orb came into the camera, hit him square in the back, and he instantly turned around.
Hit him.
Yeah. And there was no obvious bugs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we got there's a little ghost of a little Spanish man named Paco. And he'll run around. He says, "My name's Paco. My name's Paco." We got that recorded.
Yeah.
We got to see his shadow go down the hallway, and he's probably I'm 4'11". He's probably only about my height.
That was awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sadie. And if you want your story to be one of our featured stories, make sure you send me an email, firesideparanormalpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like to sponsor the show, there's many different opportunities. Send me an email. We'll discuss it. If you have a team, a business, an author, anything fun, I'm sure we can get you on the show too. Again, firesideparanormalpodcast@gmail.com.
How much do you really know about the paranormal? Can it ever truly be explained or understood? Many say no. I say bet. Hi, I'm Kristen, host of the Paranormal Girl podcast. My show is a binge-worthy, immersive education of the paranormal. Each season, we explore all aspects and angles of a supernatural topic, unraveling its mystery one fact, theory, or personal story at a time. Overcome your fear, celebrate the unknown, and arrive at a well-informed understanding by catching new episodes of Paranormal Girl anywhere you get your podcasts.
All right, I want to get to my guest. Join me by the fire as we welcome Kathryn Olvera. She runs the blog Living Dead Laptop. Kathryn, you with us?
Hi. Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
I'm, doing good. Can't complain. It's nice and rainy here.
Yeah. Now, where are you at? Where's here?
I am in Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, that's fun.
Rains a lot.
Now, Oregon's a pretty state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's one. Every single picture you see, it always looks like a postcard.
That's true. Yeah. Not always though. Sometimes it doesn't look that way, but for the most part, yeah, it's really pretty.
That's really cool. So, what got you? I'm gonna start off with these questions because I know everybody always loves these. What got you into the paranormal?
I kind of think I've always been into it. I mean, when I was a kid, I had a paranormal experience, but I didn't realize it was a paranormal experience until years later.
Okay.
So I can't say that was where it started. I think I loved it. I just loved the idea of like these like spooky ghosts like walking around and you had no idea that they were there. I just thought it was really cool.
Okay, so you just so for paranormal for you, it's all like ghost stuff. Are you into any other like aspects?
I am. I'm into like a lot, like cryptids, like demonology, things like that really interest me. But I think that like my general passion always comes from like just ghosts in general and the understanding of the subject as a whole.
Okay.
I've always been drawn to the fact that there's so much more to it than people think that there is. Like there's people who spend their lives studying all these different types of ghosts that the average person doesn't even know are like a thing.
the average person doesn't even care.
Yeah, exactly.
and some
I'm
of us
like
make
that
it a life
weirdo
thing,
that's
yeah.
like, oh no, but there's so many different kinds.
No, but like this is how residuals work. It's like what?
That's me, just boring people to death.
I love it. Now, do you have any personal experiences? Like, did you live in a haunted house? Anything ever happened to you?
I've had things happen more so as an adult than a kid, which I feel like is kind of odd. But as a kid, I used to see, when I was younger, I would call him the Sandman, but it was like,
oh, come on now.
It was like a man that would just come in my room and stand at the foot of my bed, and he was wearing a hat. And I remember as a kid, I asked him if he was a Sandman, and he smiled at me. And so for the longest time, I was telling everybody that I saw him, I saw the Sandman, like he's real. And then a few years later, I was like, wait a second.
Now, do you think that's like, I'm sure you've heard of the Hat Man. Like, do you feel it was that entity or something else?
I'm not sure. He was wearing more of like a nightcap, or at least that's what I associated it with. It looked like, like you'd see on like a Scooby-Doo cartoon, like a nightcap. So I thought that he was the Sandman. And I was never like frightened or never questioned it. I was just like, oh, there he is.
It's Santa Claus's ghost.
Yep.
Wearing his little hat. No, that's
here he
wonderful.
is coming to see me.
Now, you said this happened as an adult?
This happened when I was a kid. That was like one of the only experiences I had as a kid. But as an adult, I've experienced a lot more.
Okay.
Um, Particularly, I've noticed after I had a child, I started experiencing a lot more like paranormal things after that. And it was never associated with location. It's happened in different locations, and different instances.
So do you think having a child like open something or like in your mind or release of hormones or like what do you think it was that created that for you?
Um, I think that for some people, I think, giving birth can be kind of a traumatic experience. And I think
What?
it probably relates to a lot of that because that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, I don't know if it would be like a hormone or anything, but it was quite the experience.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
so
have
that's,
I have 4 kids, so I've witnessed what
yeah.
happens. It's terrifying.
And I think I'm also more aware just of the things that my son tunes into as well. If he pays attention to something, I'm going to look and see what he's paying attention to, and I think that has something to do with it. Um, but one of the experiences, I I felt like I knew that it was someone in like my husband's family.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I felt like he was checking out our son, like, seeing who he was, almost like, is this like my great grandson? Like, that's what it felt like because it was such a profound visit that happened. And my husband experienced it. I experienced it. Like, that one I think was someone coming in to actually see this new family member.
So your son, is he experiencing things now? Is it more regular or was it just right there
Um,
when he was fresh?
I think it's not more so now. I think it's always a few months apart. So he's only a year and a
Okay.
half now.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's happened, I want to say like 3 separate times that, you know, something has happened and it's either been I'm with him or it's me, him, and my husband all together. And
Okay.
we've all experienced it. So I don't know if it's just because of age or, if it's multiple family members trying to check out, this new family member or something. But like I said, location doesn't matter because it's happened in different houses, different states. It's just,
Wow. It's following you around.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your blog. I really want to get super interesting topic. So tell me about what you write about, how you even put all this together in your brain to write about it. I
Oh
mean,
man.
you have a fun thing going on.
So I write in my blog about essentially horror movies that revolve around the paranormal, whether it be ghosts, cryptids, demons, witches, whatever it may be. Um, and I compare it to everyday parapsychology. Just different things that I find. What kind of inspired it was a book called Ghosts: A Natural History, 500 Years Searching for Proof. And in that book, there's a page that goes over the taxonomy of ghosts, and it talks about like different types of them, like poltergeists, historic ghosts, like time slips, things like that. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. And then I thought that, you watch horror movies and they go over the top on purpose to
Oh
scare
yeah.
you with ghosts, because your everyday, if you experience a ghost, it probably just scares you, like scares the crap out of you.
You
But you
got to
put it on
sell them
camera.
tickets now.
Yeah, you put it on camera, it's not that scary. So they have to go over the top. But all of those over the top things are, when you break it down, it's a ghostly experience that someone else could have experienced on a much smaller level, especially if you're looking at things based on true stories. Like the Conjuring series is a really good one. There's actual case files that are absolutely nothing like the movies, but we love the movies.
Yeah, because a
So,
lot of what you do kind of it parallels the movies themselves with what happened with the actual events. So, like, I'm
mhm,
sure, like with The Conjuring, there's got to be something that lines up,
yeah,
right? But then there's like so much more to the real story that's so different from the stuff that they put out.
yeah. And even the stuff that they put out that seems like over the top, it's just a over the top version of something real that may or may not have happened. Like one that I thought was really interesting is a movie called The Innkeepers
Okay.
it was directed by Ty West, and it's a really good movie, and I think it's one of the most like spot on like ghostly encounter movies that I've seen. It's kind of a slow burn, but it's really good. And that movie in particular it's based in an actual place that has like a history of people thinking it's haunted and things like that. And when you look at what happens in the movie and compare it to the actual history of the place, like it's just a dramatic version of what really may or may not have happened there based on speculations, but there's real case files of it. And I think that if someone wanted to understand more what was going on in the movie, they could, understand more about like just the paranormal aspect of the whole thing too.
Oh, for sure. But somebody would have to put in the time.
Yes.
The speculation movies always kill me. What was that one movie? Open Water. Right?
Yes,
Did you see
that
that?
movie actually scared me.
Really? Okay, so here's
Yeah.
what really drove me nuts, right? It was all like so spoiler alert if like you haven't seen a movie that was in the early 2000s or whenever it came out. So like they're out there and this is all real events. This is what happened. They go out diving and the whole story, and then they like die at the end.
Mm-hmm.
How do they know it happened?
Yeah, that's total. Someone just took that and ran with it.
Like
But
the
it's
only
still
thing that was true
scary,
was
though.
like they lost some divers, but like they made up this whole like okay, so there was some really creepy things because
Yeah.
things are eating their toes and things like that where they're just floating in the ocean. There's a lot of stuff in the ocean now, but like, did they find them in the belly of a shark? No, they just
never found them.
gone. So that always
Mhm.
drove me nuts. Every time somebody talked about that movie, I was like, it's all speculation.
Okay, yeah, that does drive me nuts. I think when I was watching it, I was like imagining myself out in the ocean, like freaking out. Like I'm never going diving, even though I've never gone diving in my life.
Yeah,
It
I'm gonna
became a
quit.
fear.
I'm gonna quit diving. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm giving it up for Lent. Never doing it again.
The ocean's a scary place, not gonna lie. I'm good without it.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna. I was gonna dig into a whole UFO thing there. So I'll save you. I'll save you from that. So, tell me some of your favorite stories that you've blogged about.
Besides the Innkeepers, because that one I think I really enjoyed. Um, I just started a deep dive into the Conjuring series,
Okay.
like chronologically, the Conjuring series. So I started with the Nun, but there's a few of those case files that I'm really excited to get to, just because they are so interesting. And the case files that come from like Ed and Lorraine Warren, or if you're talking about like the Amityville house from like Harry Price and things like that, or Hans Holzer, like the different accounts of everything are so interesting to me, because while one person calls the entity one thing, another person calls it a demon, and then Hollywood comes in and just wrecks everything in the best way possible with all their like over the top effects and like, the walls are melting and everything's so extreme. And
Well, they say, and I am not gonna hate. There's a lot of hate out there on the Warrens, and I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do it. I'm not gonna do it. It's not worth. Like I had Lorraine on the show one time. Absolutely adored her.
Mhm.
Not gonna say anything bad. There are people that say that they fluffed some things up in the only way, instead of like how Hollywood fluffs it up, they did a little of their own to sell some books.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you find, and I don't know if you've looked into like what really happened as opposed to what they say happened, as opposed to melting walls from Hollywood.
Well, that's what's interesting is I think that for a lot of stuff, you can't know unless you investigate it yourself. Because if you have one famous location and, 20 different paranormal investigators go and write a book about it, they're all going to probably have different accounts of
Oh,
what it is or isn't.
100%.
And there's not really a way to know. So like the hate that like Ed and Lorraine get and things like that, like I feel like I'm kind of just not biased in any way. I'm just looking at what's down in whoever's case file and going based off that, because I'll never know unless I go and check it out myself, right? Which that'll probably never happen.
Do you do investigations? Have you ever done an investigation?
I have done an investigation. I haven't in a few years, mostly because, having a kid,
Oh,
full time
there's
working,
something
and
going on.
it's a lot. It's time consuming to do investigations, and it's a lot to organize and get everyone on the same page to, especially a bunch of adults. Scheduling something is almost impossible.
Oh yes. Have you looked into like the Amityville stuff much?
Not really the Amityville stuff yet.
You're mainly looking at The Conjuring like in itself right now.
Yeah, Amityville, I feel like just throughout my life, it's impossible not to just fall down that rabbit hole once or twice, but I've never actually like sat down in an organized fashion and looked into Amityville.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the stuff you found through The Conjuring, right?
Mhm.
Tell us some of the stories you've heard or read about.
So I just did the one on the nun, and what's interesting about the nun is I know that it's not an actual Ed and Lorraine Warren case. It's kind of a tie-in that they just did for the Conjuring movies. However, the demon in the Conjuring series, I think it's Valak or Valak or one of those two. That demon is actually real, quote unquote, according to, ancient texts. And it was actually in a book that was banned by the Vatican.
Really?
So King Solomon's like 72 demons, basically an instruction manual on how to vanquish these demons should you ever come across them.
Wow.
So instead of a vicious demonic nun coming to get you the way that the movies portrayed this demon, it was described as a young boy who rode around on a dragon and commanded like a bunch of snakes to, I guess, do his evil bidding. And so in this book that was outlawed by the Vatican, if you have it memorized, I guess, on the spot, you can know how King Solomon vanquished this demon, so you can get rid of him if you ever come across him. So the fact that The Conjuring kind of like loosely based this evil nun on this actual demon is like really interesting to me. And you can see it when you watch The Nun. There's different pieces of symbolism that they attach. Like there is a young boy, there is like evil snakes attacking them. Like there's different bits and pieces that they pulled and included in the movie, but just the inspiration is just like uncanny to me. I love it.
That's really interesting. Now, did you read that book? Like, did you find it somewhere? I'm sure it's on.
I found it on Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't own it though. I kind of want it just to see, like, I wonder, is it like a conceited thing that this person's like, I vanquished all these demons and here's your instruction manual? Or like, did someone really vanquish these demons? So, and also like the Vatican banned it. So I feel like I kind of want to.
Well, I mean,
look into it.
If they're vanquished, how are they still around?
Yeah. Like, Are they
Right?
just vanquished from you? I have a lot of, the book kind of opened more questions for me than, answers. So I'll probably end up buying it.
Yeah, you almost have to. Like, just stick it on a shelf just in case one day you come
You never
up on
know.
a demon and you're like, I wonder what the book says now.
Hold on, let me grab my demon book.
Oh, thank God Amazon had it. I gotta ask, is it a big book or is it like a quick read?
I think I want to say it's not a quick read, but I think it's not a thick book. I think it just probably has a lot of language in there that might bore you to tears.
With stories like that, have you come up, in your research on several stories like that where they loosely based it on this like ancient book?
Not yet. I feel like I haven't dove that deep into that aspect of it for like what I choose and things like that. I kind of try to keep it a little bit in realms that I like either know or I've heard of before, because I would hate to get it just blatantly wrong. Like, I don't want to be like, yeah, this is this, and then put it out there, and then it's just completely incorrect. So I try to do things that I already kind of know about a little.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how long have you been doing this blog?
I think like a year and a half, give or take.
Okay, and how many stories have you put on?
Let's see. I just cleared the site, so there's not a lot on there, but I think overall 20, 25.
Okay, so you've been digging at it pretty good. How often do you update it?
I try for every 2 weeks, but some hiatuses come in here and there.
Okay, so all right, so you're on like a Conjuring thing right now, but with
Mhm.
25, like what other kind of stories have you done?
So for a while I was trying to do like new releases, just to see what was out there. Like I did one called Two Witches, which was really interesting because I got to dive into like, you know, lore of like witch covens and Ouija boards, and that movie had a lot of really fun things for me to go off of,
Oh, wow.
like elemental spirits and like demons turning into animals. So that one was a lot of fun. But I try really hard to do things that catch my attention.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was one that I'll probably put back up. I want to look at it again because I just loved it. If you've seen it, the movie The Others,
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love that movie.
that one, I love that movie so much. And I think it really gets people thinking as far as like what does happen, when we die, and if we don't know or if we do know, and like just that realization. I'm trying not to like ruin it, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
that movie in
Well,
particular was
again,
so
that's
fun.
one of them, like, if you haven't seen it by now, shame on you.
That's true. That's true. I feel bad though, because I'm like, that is the movie. Like that's like the whole thing.
Now, in your research with like the elementals and things like that, like what did you learn? What really stuck out to you?
Um, so as far as elementals learn, I have looked into different things, and I've read that people think that they're demons, but I've also seen that it can be something like someone who passed away, like, and attached themselves to a specific location, like attach themselves to like a cemetery, or like even like a hiking trail or things like that. I've seen that those have been called elementals in the past, which
Really?
I thought was interesting because I always registered elementals as like something negative. Um, so it was interesting to learn that they don't necessarily have to be anything negative. It could just be like an energy attached to a specific place that doesn't happen to be like a building.
Okay. Now, does it have to be an energy that like somebody died? Or
I
could it
don't
just
think
be
so.
like an
So
energy left?
I think it could just be energy left. I don't think it even has to be like an awareness that you're there